Good evening. Today is Monday, March 8th, International Women's Day. Happy Women's Day to all women who are listening. S&P 500 traded in a wide range today. We opened up with the 20-point gap as Senate has approved the COVID bill. But then we sold off 65 points, then rallied another 80 points, and then sold off at the end of the day again and closed down 20 points. So as expected, after a very large uh, range Friday up 2% day, today was the day to digest the gains. And Nasdaq, on the other hand, had a pretty bad day, was down over 2.5% as the technology stocks keep selling off. Tesla was down almost another 6%, and lots of the other growth stocks were sold today. And ARK ETF, who is the largest holder of all of those various growth stocks, was down 6% as well, almost 6%. Kathy Wood, the founder of the ARK ETF, was on CNBC today trying to reassure the public, as her ETF is down over 30% year to date. And she said that she's becoming more and more optimistic about her portfolio in the sell-off. And she's buying the dip in all of her major stocks, including Tesla, Zoom, Roku, SQ, Zillow, and such. And lots of people are advising her to stop actually publishing her positions because it makes it very easy to orchestrate a squeeze in lots of her stocks, which are very illiquid. GME was up today 40% and trading around 200 again. Bitcoin finally broke above 50,000 and trading at 51 and a half. Bonds had a small down day. Victor, what do you make of today?
It's a very favorable day. They tried to get it below 3,800 today,
Right.
and it went right back to 3,880. Today was the day for the price to create VIG. The price moved around to force people to do the wrong thing and force them to get out below 3,800. Then they tried to get it above 3,900 and it failed. It hit the sogi level quite a few times. I think we're going to see the sogi level very quickly overnight. There was, you have to hand it to bonds that they only were down a half a point or so. I have them. I have the March bond at 158, which is a 1-year low. And basically, we had another red day, and but it was a red day without much pain. Sort of a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I noticed that Governor Cuomo is on the ropes, and there's a proverbial belief that revolutionaries always eat their own. And he was the most strident, the most loved, the bellwether of the revolutionaries. He was like the former president, always self-aggrandizing, taking credit for every conceivable thing. And apparently he's been very strident, very argumentative, and he's like the proverbial horrible boss that exchange with King, where he said You haven't seen my wrath yet, and I can destroy you. Sounds very true. All the women are afraid to come forward, but yet 5 of them so far have come forward. A lot of those who still work in the government are afraid of retribution, so they won't. And why is it that the revolutionaries eat their own? If I had to guess, it's because they do very wrongful things, and being associated with them creates a contagious disease among their colleagues, so that eventually they try to allay the excess. So today wasn't as woke as one would have liked, because there's still 10,000 National Guards protecting the public, and the progressives gave up a lot of little things. There wasn't special money for Planned Parenthood, and there was no minimum wage. So they're still biding their time. And now President Biden is going to have a press conference. He's had a long time to prepare for it. He'll have a teleprompter, and he'll have his little notes, little post-its that they keeps for various questions, so they can see the answers.
He probably has an earpiece as well to help him.
I've been spending, to me, the key today is that there's a different habitat in the market. And I turn to my favorite book, The Princeton Guide to Ecology, and I look at their chapter on habitat selection. Well, why do I say we're in a different habitat?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's crazy. We have gold in the 1600s, down from 2000. We have GameStop up around to 200. We have Bitcoin above the sogi level, ready to break through. Soybeans at a high. We have the Camp Kinderland group going big. They agree. Everybody agrees that we should go big.
Right.
And now, eventually, we have to pay the money back, and eventually, all this money could have been given directly to individuals and could have done some good. In the meanwhile, it's mainly going for face-saving things like giving 50 billion to the states. State like California has a surplus. New York has a surplus. So all this money goes to unions, goes to the pension funds, so that they can meet their obligations. Eventually, I keep going. You cannot consume more than is produced. If you don't produce things, then there's not any benefit. No beneficial things are the goods and services that the people buy voluntarily. And we're not doing that So that's somewhat woke. Now the technology companies have it all arranged. I mean, they're 100% behind behind the president. I noticed that it's not only Facebook, Twitter, eBay, Google. It's not only them, but I noticed that Wikipedia now is extremely woke. When you look up
Yep.
their review, their wiki on the president, the former president, it's almost as if President Biden was giving everything is negative, everything is bad, misrepresented so many things. So that's unfortunate. I mean, in addition to Dr. Seuss being canceled, we have Wikipedia now, which used to be the story, the like the Encyclopedia Britannica in the old days.
Right.
Now as far as anything social, one can't trust Wikipedia anymore. We're in a good position for tomorrow. Had a nice down day, but not too far down. We're at a 20-day minimum on Thursday. They pretended to go back to the old level, couldn't do it. So things should be very healthy on my opinion. What's your view? What's happening in the world of science? I
Well,
see that.
just to get back to your point about the Twitter and new habitat, have you heard about the NFTs, a non-fungible token? So apparently now we have crypto collectibles where people sell stuff and that is digital and record the ownership on the blockchain. I have no idea what any of this means. It makes no sense to me, but apparently Jack Dorsey of Twitter has sold his first tweet or trying to sell his first tweet, and he has already a bid of $2.5 million.
Yeah,
Now,
you have to admire him. He's very smart, but the somehow the new norm where the technology stocks always go up and everything is designed for all the political actions are designed for their favor. It hasn't been working now. Here's some things from the habitat selection. Over the years, it's become the big concept there is called the ideal free range. That's that's where all the animals and plants uh, would desire to live if they had perfect information. But over the years, it's become apparent that animals have two potential sources of information about their associations. They have cues and information. They have cues like that's current nature, and they have information from previous generations. That's nurture. Information from the past is reflected by pre-existing biases. It sounds like the cognitive biases of Kahneman. The plants and animals have the same thing. And then there are examples of the larvae of sea anemones, and they're a perfect example. If they live in good areas, then the cost of search and the travel distance is not as meaningful to them, and so they have what they call a silver spoon effect. The habitat that they perceive that will yield the highest fitness. This is an example of the silver spoon effect, in which favorable conditions early in life increase the chances that an individual will be successful later in life. In fact, this type of this is directly related to where we are now. The people that got into Bitcoin early and that they have, it's become very easy. They get 12% on if they park their Bitcoin there. This is an example of the silver spoon effect, in which favorable conditions early in life increase the chances that an individual will be successful later in life. In fact, this type of silver spoon effect has been documented in studies of many marine invertebrates, in which larvae with large food reserves are more selective and more likely to settle in high favorable. By extension, it is assumed that higher than predicted densities in a given type of habitat occur because organisms preferentially set in, so that we have a lot of density now in the Bitcoin space. There's a lot of movement out of gold. So we're really in a new habitat, and investors or listeners should really be thinking about finding a place where there's a good abundance, they have a good living conditions. It's not the way it was a year ago. We have the Camp Kimberlin people unanimous in going big. We have Bitcoin breaking through the sogi level. We have the vaccine. One vaccine after the other is now being shown to be effective. We have the star of the old guy, the most strident person, being sacrificed, ready to be guillotined like he's guillotined so many other people. And all we need now is that we have the vice president talking to all the foreign leaders. So all we need now is some news about our friend Hunter. And then we'll really, then we hopefully leaked by the progressives as the previous information was. Then we'll really be in a woke environment that will be extremely bullish. Technology will start going up again. So pay attention to the new normal that we're in now, with bonds going down every day, gold below 1,700. The cryptocurrency is going through the roof. And I say it's very bullish for stocks. Okay, what else?
The CDC finally said that people who had vaccines could congregate with other people who had vaccines without masks, but only in small groups.
But they still are trying to keep the new normal is that we're going to have 1 day a week of online physical attendance for schools. It used to be 100%, and somehow with that $2 trillion of spending and all the money that they're giving to schools, they couldn't allow the kids to get back.
Right.
And that's gonna have a terrible impact on
And it is, yeah, it is ironic because kids who suffer the most are the ones with the less income, underprivileged backgrounds. The same ones they're trying to promote and help are the ones who are gonna suffer because rich people's kids are gonna get their education in schools or outside. They're gonna
Well,
have tutors, whatever it takes.
everything, every child needs to go to school. They need to have contact with
Right.
colleagues and with their teachers. They have to be guided in the right thing. They have to be mentored and inspired. And it's going to have a terrible impact on happiness. And so we're going to pay the consequences. But that's and of course we're becoming more woke in all the schools. They're having the curriculums rewritten and teaching teaching kids to that they should be ashamed of their heritage. Very woke, very good to the stock market. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and just one more thing. The CDC actually, their own study has found that 78% of people hospitalized for COVID were overweight or obese. So even their own studies show that it's not dangerous for kids, but only mostly to older and overweight and sick people. Yet they still can't open the schools. It's amazing.
That's the world we live in. Thank you very much. I'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Victor. Bye.